Thank you all for being here. I'm Ted Dabrowski, running for governor. And look, we just heard the governor give his State of the State, State of the Budget speech. And I think what becomes very clear is that we come from very different backgrounds, and he sees things differently. He is a son of billionaires. I'm the son of immigrants. He sees things the way he wants to see them. I see them grounded in reality. And if you look at the last 7 years, they have been miserable. They've been dismal under Governor Pritzker, especially when you look at the national data. He talks about $1 trillion economy, but when you look at the actual data, it's the fifth worst economy. Is that what I have here, John? No. Fifth worst economy in the country when you line up all the states. And in particular, this matters because we are the worst in job creation. Hey, John, if you don't mind turning this just a touch, if you can. So in terms of jobs, we have created almost zero jobs. When you look at the rest of the country, they're creating a tremendous amount of jobs. You've got Texas with almost 1.5 million new jobs. You've got Florida with over 1 million new jobs, and we're down to this is the fifth worst in the country, at just 13,000 jobs. That's almost zero, and you can imagine what that means to Illinois looking for opportunity. Also, when you look at affordability, Governor Pritzker switched to affordability. Well, when you talk about that, we pay most of the highest taxes in the country. This chart here, Governor Pritzker owns this. He's been governor for 7 years. Number one, highest property taxes in the country. Gas taxes, number two. He doubled the motor fuel tax, second highest in the country. High cell phone taxes in the country. We are paying the price for Pritzker's economy, and people are paying that price. Not only that, but those taxes are outpacing wages. Illinois has the sixth worst growth in wages in the country. And this is the stuff that matters to people. Their wages can no longer keep up with the tax bills, especially the property tax bills. Thank you. Then, of course, we can talk about energy. Affordability, there again. Who owns the energy mess in Illinois? It's Governor Pritzker. He's the one that's passed all the energy bills that have massively led to raises in energy bill costs. His CEJA bill, which requires 30% renewables by 2040 and 40%, I said it wrong, 40% by 2030 and 100% by 2045. We are outpacing the ability to create energy here because we're cutting down our baseload energy. So that's a big problem for us. Bottom line is all these problems under Governor Pritzker, no jobs, no affordability, is chasing people out. This is just the people losses, net out-migration, residents in versus residents out between our neighboring states. And you can see the numbers are damning. We're losing people to our neighbors. They are not staying here in Illinois. Turn it for me, John, please. You know, we've lost a net 85,000 people to Indiana. We've lost a net 21,000 people to Michigan. We've lost a net 25,000 people to Missouri. This is all during Pritzker's tenure. And we've lost hundreds of thousands more to other states, including Florida, Texas, Tennessee, for example. This is the big issue. Pritzker can talk about his budgets, he can talk about all the numbers he wants, but people are fleeing this state. We're one of just 3 states to shrink the last decennial, and since Pritzker took office, we've lost 100,000 in population. Bottom line is we've seen 7 years of decline, 7 years of quality of life fail. And I think you could ask lots of people in Illinois, how was your quality of life? And they can't give you a positive answer because their wages aren't keeping up with their property tax bills. They don't feel safe. There's all kinds of problems in Illinois. And before I forget, when Governor Pritzker talks about affordability, he needs to say something about how he spent billions on illegal immigrants. He cannot talk about affordability on one side of his mouth and not say something about the illegal immigrants and how much money he spent on them. At least $2 billion on health care alone, and so much more on housing, food, and education especially. And look, it might sound like I'm a candidate for governor running against Pritzker. It might sound like sour grapes, but this is what Moody's just said this week, I believe it was. Let's look at the actual words of Moody's. They are warning about the mess we're in. Illinois will be a step behind the Midwest average and a few steps behind the nation in job and income growth over the long term. This is the Moody's 2026 report. Below average population trends and deep-rooted fiscal problems such as mounting pension obligations and a shrinking tax base represent the biggest hurdles to stronger economic performance in Illinois. This is straight from Moody's. rating agency. This is a big problem. And now let's think about that. In that budget, did we hear a mention of pension reform? Absolutely not. In fact, Governor Pritzker only recently, in the last couple of years, has raised pension costs. He's increased pension benefits for workers. And if we talk about the out-migration of people and the shrinking tax base, we all know that every single budget he's passed has had tax hikes in it. He's raised taxes over and over and over again, and he's done nothing to cut taxes. So that's the problem. He doesn't just solve problems, right? He's just making them worse. So let's think about what we should be hearing in a budget address from Governor Pritzker. If he wants to do something about property taxes, he should say something like this, which is what I'm proposing. We should phase in a 1% property tax cap on all home values so that people know what's the max they will ever pay on their homes. Right now we have communities that are paying 4%, 5%, even 6% of the value of their home in property taxes. That's criminal. That should not happen in Illinois. We should put a cap of 1%. It's what Indiana does. It's a good idea. We should do the same. Talking about pensions. Look, Warren Buffett said just a few years ago, he will not invest in Illinois. He will not invest in Illinois because he says the pension debts are so large that they'll come after him. If he puts a plant in Illinois, they'll come after him for years. And so he said, forget it. So what we have to do is change that culture. What we need to do is move to 401ks for all new government workers. It's constitutional, it's legal, and it's a good idea for everybody. For the workers, the public sector workers, it's a great idea for the citizens of Illinois, and it creates a proper parity amongst everybody. Last thing I'd say is unwind CEJA, unwind that green energy bill. We can't have a bill like that increasing the energy costs when we should be energy independent and have low bills for our Illinois residents. That's the kind of stuff that the Governor Pritzker should talk about, but he didn't. Look, Pritzker's made Illinois a bottom 5 state in so many things. We should be a top 5 state. Vote for me, and together we'll make Illinois a top 5 state again. I'm Ted Dabrowski, and I'm running for governor. Together, we can do better. I'll take some questions now. Thank you.
Hey, Ted, you were at the speech, obviously.
I wasn't in, but I was watching and listening.
You were watching the speech. So he did mention, the governor did mention something about making room for making more room for nuclear power. He issued an executive order as well to that effect. And there were some Republicans, legislators on the Republican side who clapped when he had offered that. I mean, do you see that at all as any kind of acknowledgement where he's being kind of pragmatic about energy costs and thinking, hey, when it comes to affordability, maybe this is an issue where we can try to meet in the middle?
Well, listen, I will say this, and it's rare for me to agree with Governor Pritzker, but we should invest in nuclear energy, so we're in agreement there. But I don't want to give him too much credit because he's passed all the other bills that have created the problem. I think either one he sees the problem as big, the one that he's created, and he wants to solve it, or two, he's got it right. But let's give him credit for saying that he wants more energy, more nuclear. Yes.
Ted, another thing the governor proposed was a moratorium on data center tax credits. You mentioned energy affordability. Recent reports show that a lot of the rise in energy demand and the rise in rates are because of these data centers. Your thoughts on pausing that and I guess the governor's reassessing of that tax credit?
Well, I think the big problem is we come back to CEJA, right? I mean, if we had more energy, we could then afford to have more AI centers and cover them, and that's what we should. I mean, if we can afford to have the AI centers create more jobs, create more of a tax base, we should absolutely have them. The problem is that we have the problem of the limitations of the green energy bill. And that's the real problem. So, it'll take a long time for nuclear to come on. It'll take, who knows, a decade more. So, in the meantime, I would argue get rid of CEJA and then allow the data centers to come in so we can get more jobs and build the tax base.
And then one of his big proposals was transforming housing policy in the state. He's proposing some statewide zoning standards that would allow for more multi-unit building on residential lots, a lot of them currently zoned for single family. Your thoughts on that? Your thoughts on having a statewide standard for some of those things meant to address some of the housing costs?
Yeah, if you'll know, I'd be very, very cautious about that bill and absolutely oppose it. What we don't need is more centralization. I don't like how much power Springfield has in Illinois. They have way too much power. We're seeing this same kind of problem with the solar panels being built on farms and counties not having any voice. We cannot give Springfield even more power to put all kinds of housing wherever. So I would strongly oppose that. We've got a mess. We've spent already tons of money on affordable housing, all kinds of subsidies, all kinds of efforts to do that. And I think all it could do is if we give more power to the state and strip the power from local authorities, that would be a bad deal.
Any thoughts on his comments on cell phones in schools?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I do agree that cell phones are doing huge damage to our children. We've lost control. All the kids have them right in the class. There's different ways of controlling it. I'd still rather see local control. I'd like to see school districts be able to control that, but it's something to consider at the state level. It's a big problem, but what I'd like to do, I'd like to start with making sure that local schools have access to technology that they can take the phones away, because the minute you start imposing at the state level, then you're taking away local authority, and I have no idea how technology is going to evolve and in the usage of technology. So I'm a little cautious about that, but I do agree that there's a big problem with that.
Ted, the governor said he touted in his speech about $818 billion in GDP growth. I believe it was Wire Points that pointed out Illinois' lack of GDP growth over the 6 years that he's been governor. If you do the math on it, he touts $1.3 trillion in GDP, but the growth relative to the rest of the United States is still minimal.
Yeah, we're fifth worst in the country for growth, and that's the bottom line for everything, right? When you think about the tax base, when you think about trying to fund anything, when you think about people's opportunity for jobs and wage growth and all that, without high growth, without that, we're a mess. And I think that's the underlying problem. And Governor Pritzker can say whatever the heck he wants. That data is the reality. We are not growing. He's had 7 years to do it. His high taxes are killing things. His mandates on so many things are killing innovation and growth. That's why he has to go. He does not deserve to be our governor again. He just on that alone, if you were a CEO of a business, he would have been gone a long time ago. Well, thank you all for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Take care.